Assignment number 4, we're going to develop what I'm going to call is an action scene. So before we get into this, I want to talk about the structure of these projects. So this project, this will be our first film that we're going to shoot. It's going to be 3 grades you're going to get for this. It's going to be broken into 3 grades. So if I jump to the assignments real quick. It's 3 components to this. The first one is going to be assignment 4 is develop an action scene. That's what we're going to talk about now. You're going to get 1 grade for that. The second is actually going out and shooting it. And I'll talk more detail later when that comes up. You're going to get a separate grade on that. And then finally, you're going to get a grade on the final edited project. So each one of these grades, they're all going to come together to equal what you're going to get for your midterm. And the reason I do that is because everybody's going to have different strengths. Like maybe someone's a better writer, better storyteller than someone else. Okay. Maybe someone's better at cinematography and shooting and everything. Okay. Well, they get a grade there too. Maybe someone's really good at editing or not that good. So this basically gives you guys the best potential to get a good grade and makes it a little more fair. Does that make sense to everybody? So let me jump back into this. So what is this thing? So think of a simple scene that involves a form of action. It could be someone walking, running, a car moving, etc. What we want to do is kind of focus on blocking and point of view. Shoot enough camera angles to create a sequence with a running time, important running time between 1 to 2 minutes. Remember to utilize concepts like 180 degree rule, screen direction, different types of continuity. Remember we talked about movement, content, action, time, all that stuff. I'm going to keep aware of everything we've talked about up to this point. Now this is it. This is where we're starting the ball rolling on really making things. The purpose for this assignment is to create a sequence of shots that tell an action to flow through the scene. Continuity is extremely important. Here's the deal. The action scene must have a beginning, a middle, and an ending that has some type of narrative structure. So you can't just do something where it's just this, where I walk into a room, hi, sit down, start typing, and then relax. That's the end of my project. It's got to be more than that. So how deep down the rabbit hole you go is up to you. That's kind of why it's a little vague here. I'm not saying you need to have narrative dialogue or have an action, I'm not being specific about what you create. I'm just putting it into a shape that we can kind of grade and talk about. So if you're not good at writing, you're not sure about what to do, you can make it as simple as you can, but it needs to have a beginning, a middle, and ending. So something needs to start. There should be something interesting that happens in the middle, and it should end. Everything should resolve. So there's different ways to approach it. I'll talk about it in a minute, but I want to get through the whole workflow first, and then we'll talk about what these things could be like. So this first stage here is this development package, and this is going to be due on the 19th. So you've got pretty much 2 weeks to do this. The development package must contain the following: the development guide, a script, a production schedule, and storyboards. The development package must be handed in prior to the start of the production. Okay, and here's the important stuff. You cannot start production without a green light. So if you say, I got a great idea, and you're going to start writing it up, but you start shooting it this weekend and you don't get a green light from me, I'm not accepting it. Because we want to think of this as me as the studio. I'm the studio, and you guys are pitching me ideas, and I'm going to green light you the ones I think are going to be made. So I need to see you do all your homework and get it all up and running before I'm going to give you a green light. So in order to get a green light, I need all this stuff. You need to hand all this stuff into me, and you're going to hand it in through this assignment. You're going to upload it in here, and you can upload multiple things. So you're going to just keep adding and keep it going. So again, you cannot start production without a green light, which is your approval of the development package by me. So failure to get a green light before you start production result in automatic 0 for the assignment. So if you start shooting before you get your green light, I'm not accepting it. It's your responsibility to get the green light. I'm not going to hunt you down. So if you If you don't get it to me by the deadline, I'm not going to be sitting there, hey, where's your green? You know, you didn't get a green light. Where's your work? Where's your work? I'm not doing that. It's up to you guys to get it to me and get it in on time and get the green light going. So this is due on the 19th. The deadline, the cutoff point is the 29th. That's the last time you can get a green light. If you don't get it by the 29th, you don't get a green light after that, which means even if you shoot it and everything, I'm not giving you a grade for it. You're not getting credit for it. So you need to get to this cutoff point. So why is there two different dates here? Why is there the 19th and the 29th? Well, what's going to happen when you submit your script to me? Remember our development process.
So we're
comes after
feedback.
Go ahead. Feedback. You kind of have to probably do rewrites. So you want to block that time in. This is when it's due. And then from here, from the 19th to the 29th will be your place to rewrite, updates, make any changes, anything you need. So if everything, and again, I don't want to freak anybody out or get everybody worried. This sounds like it's a big scary thing. It's not really. Once you, 9 times out of 10, most people, when they submit everything, it's just a minor tweaks to what they need to be done. So the point is, the sooner you get it done, the sooner you get your green light, the sooner you start shooting. The more time you get. The longer you wait, if you put it all off, if you submit this thing here and then you get notes and you don't make changes until the 29th, okay, great. But all this time you've lost in shooting. So the goal here is to get it developed by the 19th, get it uploaded. You can get it in, if you go tonight and write everything up and do it all and submit it tomorrow, well, guess what? Yeah, you're ahead of the game. I'll read it and give you notes, and then maybe you get greenlit, a week or two before this happens. Guess what? You get to go shoot and do everything. What does that mean? Guess what? You get more time for shooting, you get more time for editing, and life's grand, right? But if you wait to the bitter end, then your deadline gets tighter. Everybody with me on this so far? Does it make sense?
Yes. So for this assignment, we're not using still shots anymore. This is going to be actual recording.
Yeah, this is motion. We are done after you guys hand in the next assignment. That's it. Everything else from now, we're making movies. We're done with still cameras.
Also, we can send in one script, and if it doesn't get greenlit, we can try again until the deadline. Correct?
Yes. So you could send me something tomorrow if you want. Doesn't matter. The deadline to get the green light. This is the deadline to get something to me. If you don't hand anything in by the 19th, don't expect to get a good grade, even if you end up getting in and after, because I'm going to take points away if it's not in by the 19th. Now, I used to be a little more lax on it, but guess what? Everybody waited to the last minute. Everybody waited and procrastinated. So those days are now officially gone in this class. So if it's not here by the 19th, you automatically are going to get hit on your grade, and you just got to get everything done before this date. This is the cutoff. Whatever, unless some catastrophic thing happens that you let me know ahead of time. It can't be on the 29th. You're like, oh man, yeah, something happened. My dog ate my computer and whatever, and it fried and it destroyed my whole planet. No, you got to talk to me if there's some problem going on, because this is a big project, and if you don't keep the steps going in order, you're not going to get done. And I've seen it. And I got to be honest with you. Every time I've had a student like, I have this problem, something's going on in my life, and I just need an extension. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll give you the extension. It doesn't get done. It doesn't get done. I've even had students who I've given them, incompletes in the class, and I'm like, I've been teaching this class for like 4+ years. How many of those students do you think of all the incompletes I've given have actually finished?
None.
Just one. That's it. So just from experience, I know that you got to stay on the schedule, and think of this as in the real world, right? If I'm giving you a green light and I'm going to say, hey man, I need your development package done by here. I'm going to give you a green light by this date because I need it edited and delivered because we want to air it for the Christmas season. You got to get it done. So the same thing we're applying here. So we're going to go over all this stuff. So it may seem like a lot, but it's really not that much. So this all makes sense. Any other questions about this part before I move on?
Okay, so we don't currently have a deadline for when the short needs to be completed, correct?
Not yet.
Okay, and then I forgot, I'm sure the due date's already up for the sequence of shots, which is due before this, right? Or
Yes, yes.
okay.
So we have a pretty tight schedule now, and because we got this and another project to do, and not a lot of room.
Oh, sorry, I have another question.
Go for it.
Could the sequence, does the shot sequence for action, does it have to be different than this? Like, or can my shots be the same as I'm going to use for the 2-minute short?
It has to be amazing then. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I want to see everybody. Basically, I want to take everybody learn from the mistakes and move on. That one was just kind of more of an action scene while someone's walking from point A to point B. I'm calling this an action scene just for a simplistic description. This is up to interpretation on you. How far down the rabbit hole you want to go. So for me, I can't say force everybody to say, okay, I want you to write me a 3-page narrative script with action and dialogue and 3-act scene and all this stuff, because there's some people here that are not going to be able to do that. Some people that could do it. So what this is a template for you to figure out what works for you with it, as long as it fits within the limitations of what I'm expecting. So what that means is a beginning, a middle, and ending. So there should be some narrative to this. It shouldn't just be someone walking from one room to the other or someone cooking something. It should be more than that. It should have, think Twilight Zone episodes, think maybe a twist at the end. A lot of people in this project will do something like a short Twilight Zone episode where there's something interesting happening or some bizarre thing, whatever it is. Could be a comedy, could be a chase. Sometimes there's a chase scene. I've had things where one student did one where there's a massive chase on campus where they thought this person was coming to murder them, and at the very end the person corners them and they're like, no, don't kill me, and he's like, oh no, you dropped your phone, sorry, here's your phone back. Could be as simple as that, but making it cinematic, making it dramatic. I'm looking here for all the things we've talked about up at this point, starting to apply them. That makes sense? So how deep you go is up to you. I've had some people, and I'll show you guys some of the prior students' work on this, just to give you an idea what's going on here. But I've had some people do some really clever short films that were funny or quirky, and some people who just kind of did something a little more simpler than that. But they all had some little bit of journey into it. I had some actor that something happened to them. There was some moment where there was conflict, and then it got resolved. That's what we're kind of looking for here. So each production shoot needs to complete the following. So minimum 12 separate camera setups. So that means 12 setups to do this. That's the minimum. That's what least thing you got to do. Shots must be in focus and completely properly exposed. That's another one. Overlapping action on at least 40% of your shots. So you can do montage editing, and if you don't know what that is, don't worry, we'll talk about it. But I want to see some overlapping action, which means if someone walks in the wide shot, sits down in the chair, cut to a close-up, there's the action's overlapping. So 40% of your shots got to have that. Multiple angles of coverage. So I need to see some wides, close-ups, mediums, etc. on at least 75% of your shots. So it doesn't mean every single scene, everything can you do one scene in one shot? Sure, you can. But what I don't want to see is one shot for every scene, and suddenly I'm looking at some weird, long, weird experimental movie. I want it to, this is all about learning the things we've talked about over the last month and a half, this idea of overlapping action, triangle coverage, all this stuff, inserts, cutaway shots, establishing shots, everything we've talked about up to this point, I want to see you demonstrate it. Make sense so far? So last thing is everything's going to be submitted online. Make sure you have your name on it, the class that you're in, and the assignment in the file name. So Dylan O'Brien, Media Arts 101, assignment 4. It should be in the file name. No handwritten assignments, please. So don't print it out, write it, take a picture and email it to me. No unlabeled files will be accepted. No smartphones, images of your stuff except there's storyboards. If you're doing storyboards where you're drawing them out, then you can shoot them with your phone and upload those. But everything else I had some students last semester, everything they did, they hand wrote, and then they took a picture of it and sent me a low resolution JPEG. I couldn't read it. So not doing that. So these are all the links, and I'm going to go through these in a minute, of all the things you need that are going to help you get this job done. But here's some things I want you to think about during this phase of the production. You have approximately 2 weeks to develop your concept and submit it for approval. So be prepared to make revisions for getting a green light. So just like I just said before, that first due date, get it to me before that. And then you'll get revisions. You will have some changes you have to make. Maybe tiny, maybe big. I don't know. It all depends. But you want to be prepared for that. You don't want to wait to the last minute, procrastinate, and then think that it's all going to happen like that. It's not. You can submit your revisions as many times as needed using the same upload link in the assignment. So it keeps track of everything for me. So you do the first version and I'll say, okay, we'll change this, this, and this. And then you upload the next version. I'll look at that one, and then so forth until you get your green light. Again, submit your development package sooner than later to allocate time for the revisions. You want to avoid the logjam of procrastinators waiting till the last minute to submit revisions. So I have 2 classes, your class and another class. It's a total of, let's see, I got 15, 20 something here, probably about 40 students that I'm going through. So in the same time schedule. So if you wait to the bitter end to do it, you're going to get caught up in the backlog, because I can only go so fast going through reading everybody's script and going through everything. So you don't want to get caught in that. So you're better off, the sooner you do it, the better off you are. The other thing is that don't bite off more than you can chew. If you have grand visions of what to do, that's cool, but think about what you're going to get involved in and make sure that whatever you do, you can do it. Remember the KISS concept. Keep it simple and smart. That's the best way to approach this. And remember to breathe and remember to have fun, man. We're making movies. If you're not having fun, it could be worse. You could be in a chemistry or algebra class right now, right? Taking a 100-question essay test. So any questions so far? It's got to be some questions.
If we have one concept, can we switch it?
What do you mean?
So like, let's say we have one idea where we have 2 people maybe playing poker, and that's the first script, and we send it to you, and then after we decide to change our mind and make it something different. Is that possible?
Well, no, because basically you're making a deal with me. So let's just say, for sake of argument, I'm a studio and you pitch me one idea and I say, oh, great. And then all of a sudden you come back and it's something completely different. And I'm like, what's this? I didn't pay for this. Yeah, but I had a better idea. Well, that's not what we agreed upon. Where's my money? So you can change the idea. You could vary the idea. It's not going to be in stone, but if you go a completely different direction, then you need to have a conversation with me about it and say, hey, man, I realize that this idea is totally not going to work and I need to do something different. And then we'll talk there. But what you can't do is to give me the development package, get greenlit for that, and then go shoot something completely different. That makes sense?
I meant before the green light.
Before, yeah, but then remember, your time's of the essence. So you don't want to develop 2 separate things. Okay, so go ahead.
So I had a question. Can we, how do I put it this way? If we want to create like a shot, but we don't have like can we like replace it with like a shot from like a stock image or something like that? Or does it all have to be, we all have to shoot it ourselves?
You can put some footage in, and this is going to be, you have to talk to me about this. So that means, for example, if you've got some wide shot of LA that you want to use, that you found a cool stock thing, yeah, maybe that's okay. But what I'm not going to accept is a hodgepodge of a bunch of downloaded YouTube shots that are just edited together to tell your story. So if you, let's say, for example, you're doing a thing and you want to cut away to the TV set and you've got footage from a TV show or some newscast, that's totally acceptable if it fits within your story. But if you're like, well, I'm just going to use a bunch of stuff that I found and put in edit, in montage, edited together, then that kind of defeats the purpose of the assignment. That kind of help explain it.
Yeah, but I was also wondering one more thing. What if you have an idea for a shot, but how do I put this? You know how I said that, oh, about the footage? Yeah. What if you just want to use like one specific footage for one shot and then the rest you make it by yourself? Something.
That's probably okay, but you just got to spell it out so I know what's going on. That's all I ask. So if you explain to me, I'm going to use stock footage and I want to use it for this shot, and this is why I want to do it, then I'm going to say okay, probably. And as long as we're on, what I don't want to see is, and I've seen it before, and is that people suddenly just started doing a montage of stuff where they pull things in and edit them in, and it's obviously I could see that they didn't shoot it. And so part of this assignment, we could easily go into editing, and I could just say, hey, here's a bunch of stock shots, and just go edit. But you're not going to learn anything from that. You're not going to learn the process from that. So here, going out and shooting everything and planning it, and then getting it to edit and editing it and finally delivering, that process is what's going to teach you to be a filmmaker, not just editing other people's junk. Because I've done that. When I first started, I was editing other people's stuff, and yeah, maybe got a little bit better at editing, but it didn't make me a better filmmaker. I became a better filmmaker when I did my own stuff and made my own mistakes. So again, just let me know how much stuff you want to add in there, and then we'll go from there. That makes sense? So let's go look at these things. So the first thing, you're going to probably follow this in an order. So the first thing you're going to do is use this action scene development guide. Okay, so this is just a little thing to help you tell your story. Now again, it's not as complicated as it sounds. It's really not. So you do have to fill this out. You do have to get this back to me. So you're going to figure out what, obviously you're going to put your name there. You're going to figure out what the name of your film is. It can be a working title. You can change the name of your film later on. It doesn't matter. Most films do that. They just have a working title and they call it that, and then they change it later. So now in the development stage, what's your log line? So we want to figure this out. What is the log line? What's the story I want to do? So you guys are going to have to make a log line about what it is. And it kind of follow this discussion that we had earlier today about log lines, and think about what this is. So again, you can make this as complicated as you want or as simple as you want, but as simple as you get, it has to still fit the requirements. It still has to tell a story. There has to be a character, some kind of conflict, something happening. Think more like a Twilight Zone type of episode. So something's got to happen. It just can't be someone sitting down and reading a book and then getting up and going home. It's got to have something in it that has some type of drama, something that makes me want to watch it, laugh, cry, whatever. So your log line should explain that. And so there you should also, who's your characters? Do you have one main character, multiple main characters? What are they doing? These are kind of questions that we can use to answer. You can also use, if you really want to, you can go into that, all those questions we talked about earlier today in the hero's journey. You can use those to apply it if you want. But I'm trying to keep it simple for this assignment. What's their action? What are they doing? Are they getting up and are they being chased by the police? Are they late for class? Sometimes, a reoccurring theme in this is being late for class. I've had plenty of them where students get up and run to class and they do race through everywhere, and then you get to class and find out it's Saturday and there's nobody there. Or the class is canceled, or Zoom was canceled, or they woke up, their alarm didn't go off and they didn't get there in time. There's plenty of day-to-day scenarios that you can think of. You can make it a cool twist. Had some really funny ones, and I've had some really good ones done during the pandemic. So, before pandemic, we'd all be on campus and shoot these things and be working as a team. Obviously, we can't do that right now. So everybody's kind of on their own. You can recruit whoever you need, whoever you can get to help you. But unfortunately, you have to be on your own to do this. So what's their action? How many locations are you going to use? How many scenes are you going to shoot? And in those scenes, how many locations do you need? Are there any props? Is there anything special effects or anything like that? I had one where somebody was starving for food and he had his last dollar and he was going to go to the vending machine. And as he was about holding the dollar up, admiring it, the wind caught it and took it away. And it was a whole chase. He was chasing his dollar bill throughout campus. And then finally, when he almost he finally got it, and somebody else picked up the dollar, put it in the vending machine, got the last candy bar, and he was left for nothing. So there's all these short little things you can do. I've had some people make full shorts. It just depends on what you want to do. So I'll leave it at that and let everybody decide how deep the rabbit hole they want to go. So answer these basic questions. You can elaborate. You can use some of the other questions from, like I said, from the hero's journey. You can expand it as much as you want. This is more for me to look at your work process, but this is really here to help you. So once you figure out some of these questions, now you're going to start writing the script. So down here, when we get to pre-production, well, you should come up with a team name. Like, everybody has their own production company. So you guys should have your own production company. So make up a cool, quirky name or anything that works for you, and we'll put it down there. Crew positions, well, normally we'd be on campus. So here you're probably going to be camera operator, director. If you have some people help you, sure, put them in there. Then you're going to break down the script. Okay, so once I write that script, what's in the script? How many props? How many characters? Or what is it do I need to track so that I can make sure I have all those pieces when I start shooting? So I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to start thinking about creating storyboards. And we're going to talk about how to do this. And we're going to have one, probably next week, we'll cover storyboarding, how to do it. There's different ways to do it. You don't have to be an artist. You don't have to draw good. I suck at drawing good, but I still can do storyboards. There's plenty of ways to do it. So don't get all wigged out about storyboards. Next one's going to be creating the production schedule. So what's the production schedule? Well, that's going to be this list that's going to show the order that you're going to shoot, right? Because if we do the script order, that might not be in the most efficient way to shoot, right? What if I have scene 1 in a classroom, scene 2 in a hallway, scene 3 in a classroom, scene 4 outdoors? If I shoot them all in order, well, I'm going to go out of the classroom, then back in the classroom. Now I'm going to shoot those 2 scenes that are in the classroom right next to each other. So I'm going to shoot out of order. So when we start going to the schedule, I'm going to break it down and figure out exactly what's the best way to shoot this thing, to be the most efficient, to have the most time. And so that's going to happen here in the production schedule that we're going to do. So the schedule should include the days you're going to shoot, the locations each scene is going to be shot at. The shooting order of any scenes may not be the same as a script order, remember, and the shooting order of the shots within the scene. So basically, you want to try to narrow this down to exactly the order you want to shoot in. Because remember, the more organized, prepared you are, the less you have to think about what you're missing, and the more you can be creative on set. So I have a piece of paper on a notebook in front of me that tells me what I need to shoot, in what order. That's going to help me out a lot. So from there, you're going to get in production. So here's some tips to shoot about shooting. Slate every shot and make sure that the slate is properly labeled. Okay, you're like, what? We haven't talked about that yet. That's okay. We are going to talk about this. We're kind of leapfrogging ahead about what you need to do to get ready, but we have a couple of weeks before we start shooting. And so in those couple of weeks, we're going to really cover a lot of the things you need to do to get ready to shoot. So we're going to slate, and we'll talk about why the slate is important to use, how it's going to help you. I will tell you right now that the slate is going to dramatically increase your editing speed. It's going to make your life so much easier in the edit. If you don't slate, it's going to make your life miserable. You're going to waste time. And I won't get into the reasoning for that now, but we'll definitely talk about that. Don't cut the camera early. Let the takes run longer. So everyone's so accustomed to, okay, ready and action. Roll, and cut. And just let it breathe a little bit. Roll the camera. Get everybody settled. Shoot the scene. Pause a couple of minutes and cut, because you don't know, maybe sometimes at the very ending of the scene, there might be something in there that you could use in your edit. So big novice mistake, amateur mistake for a lot of directors and people is to cut too early. I had one director who just cut like super fast and never let the action play out in the scenes. He's like, oh, I only need this bit. And then we go in the edit, it's a mess. So let your scenes run longer. Shoot overlapping action. So let each camera setup run the length of the scene. This will give you more options in the edit. So instead of shooting the wide shot, right, of me walking from over here, coming down, sitting down and relaxing. Okay, oh, that's scene 1. Okay, let's get the close-up of me in the chair. Instead, just have me sitting in the chair, right? Now, I don't have any place to cut except in the chair after it's sitting. If I run the close up through the whole take of me walking over here and sitting and having the wide shot, then I have choices in the edit where I want to go. So you might say, well, I know exactly where I'm going to make my edits. If you do, awesome, good for you. But if you're not 100% sure, it's best to get, the more coverage you get, the better off you're going to be in the edit. And this is the whole point of doing this class and this assignment. By shooting your own stuff and editing your own stuff, it's hard for me to talk about the mistakes. It's hard for me to say, oh, well, you didn't get enough coverage and you've got an editorial this problem here, or you've got a synchronization problem here. We can lecture and talk about all that crap, but until you do it and you sit down and edit, once you sit down and make and edit your own stuff, you're like, oh man, why didn't I get the close-up? I needed that close-up. Why didn't I get an insert shot? Now I'm having a hard time editing this. I don't have the insert shot. That might be painful, but you're never going to forget it after that. You're going to learn from those mistakes. And that's, unfortunately, I think how humans really learn is by making mistakes and remembering them. I know that's how I never forget my mistakes. So things here, overlapping action, shooting as much coverage as you can get is going to help you so much out in the edit, specifically when you're not sure. I've never heard an editor say, oh man, you guys shot too much footage. I've heard them say, man, you did not shoot enough. We barely got this edit done. But I've never heard someone go, stop shooting. It's way too much. Don't do it. Whoa, please don't do it. Doesn't work that way. Change your focal length, lens size, right? Don't shoot everything with the same focal length. So what I don't want to see, and I've seen this in the past, everybody shoots their stuff on the same wide angle shot and it looks like security camera footage, right? And that's the whole point of doing these first two assignments of learning focal lengths, different, close-ups, mediums, wide shots, and then trying to build a sequence up, right? We're trying to learn so that when we do this project, everybody's more prepared. So changing focal lengths, make it interesting. Change your point of view. Don't shoot everything from one angle. Yeah, you can use that triangle coverage I talked about, but then find some other cool angles, low angles, high angles, whatever you can find that's interesting. Definitely get the inserts and the cutaway shots because they are going to save you in the edit. And we'll talk more about that when we get into editing. Okay, does this make sense so far? Any questions at this point before I move on?
Yeah, can you go into a little bit more description for overlapping action? Do you mean like shooting like let's say two scenes are scheduled, right? But like they're right one after the other. You mean just shoot them together?
No. I think you need to go back and look at some of the recordings of the lectures when I was talking about camera coverage. So remember triangle camera coverage? So if I have two people having a conversation here, right, I'm going to shoot one side of the conversation, another side of the conversation, then maybe a wide shot. That's called overlapping action because the action overlaps all those angles. If I just shoot each person's point of conversation, so sometimes if I shoot this person out here, right, and they're talking and talking and talking, and then they're listening and nodding, then they talk again, I'm not going to stop during the nodding because guess what? I may use that nod to cut away and cut around something else here. So the idea of overlapping action is to shoot out the scenes as much as possible with multiple angles. So I have choices in the edit. This is where it's hard to really explain if you haven't sat down and really edited and done this yet. The idea of I need to expand my options in the edit. If even in my head, I know where the edit's going to be, I'm not going to shoot just for those edits in my head. I'm going to give myself the option to make choices because I will tell you a lot of films are found in the edit, which means that you may think of what the way it's going to cut and everything, but when you go to edit it, you'll realize that there's another way to do it. And if you don't have the extra footage to cover that, you're stuck. If you do you're like, well, I'm great. I'm going to do Citizen Kane where I'm just going to do one shot for every single scene because I'm that good. Great. But if you got to make an edit, you got to make a change, you're stuck. So if you're like, wow, man, I didn't realize that all these scenes put together were going to come out to 5 minutes, but my piece needs to be 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes. How am I going to edit that down if I only have one master shot? That's it per scene. You're not, because you're going to jump cut it and then it's going to look like crap. So especially in the beginning when you're first starting out, shooting overlapping action, shooting extra shots, putting extra stuff in there to give you those options in the edit, or we're going to help you time and trim and shape your project. And all this will make more sense when we start talking about editing in a few weeks. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. There was just one distinction that I wanted to clear up, and that was it. I understand now.
Okay, great. So one thing also I'm going to talk about is we're going to talk about a different script structure here than what some people may be accustomed to. So normally when I'm talking about script, we're talking about the narrative script, which is a screenplay, which is a very specific format of script. You guys can certainly do that if you want, but for this assignment, I'm choosing to go with what's called an AV script because it makes life just a little bit easier. Let's see if I can zoom this in. Where's the stupid zoom? Why is it not allowing me to do it? Well, you'll have to look at this maybe a little bit better. I'm sorry, can't zoom in too well. So this is an AV script. And so what it has basically 3 columns. First column is going to be the scene. Second column is going to be what I'm calling video. And the third is going to be audio action. So these are what are usually written for corporate videos and stuff like that. The other way is a narrative screenplay, and we'll talk about more about that a little bit later, but I just didn't want to overwhelm everybody right now and force you to say you have to write it in a narrative screenplay. You can if you want to, if you know that's how to do that. If you have the software to do that, please do it. No problem there. But if you're not sure about what I'm talking about, then you're probably best to start with this because it's an easier format to wrap your head around. So these 3 columns are going to help us structure everything. So if you notice here, this is my action scene that I wrote. So I've got scene 1. This section tells me what scenes I'm in. Scene 1, interior hallway. So the thing here is, I'm not going to worry about this side. I'm just going to worry about scene and audio action. This is basically where my shot ideas are going to go. So when I write with this, I'm going to go, okay, interior hallway, scene 1. And I'm going to write, oh, mysterious person walks down hallway and enters a door. That's my first scene. Second scene, interior classroom. We realized that it's a professor walking into a classroom full of students. The professor stops in front of a class and greets the class, begins lecturing. Students are bored, suddenly realizing he forgets the laser pointer and quickly walks to the front of the class and enters another room. So this is all the action that takes place. Now, I am not putting dialogue in this. We didn't shoot dialogue for this. We actually shot this in one semester. You can put dialogue in here if you want, and you can put little quotes and put the character's name and put dialogue if you want. It's totally up to you. I'm not requiring dialogue, but if you want to put it in there, you sure can. Interior back room, scene 3. In another room, he searches and then grabs the laser pointer, heads back to class. Then scene 4, interior classroom. The professor gets back to the front of the class and continues the lecture. So very simple, and this is super, super simple. In fact, what I'm hoping from you guys is not this simple, but for sake of time, we had to shoot it in one class and not be complex. This is what I did. So if I'm going to use this format, I'm going to put scenes down. I'm going to write what's happening. This is kind of description. I want to set the mood, what's going on. Remember, mysterious person walks down a hallway right here. I want to put all the information here. And then once I write this all out, then I'm going to go back over here to the video and start filling in what I think the shots are. So here I've got mysterious person walks down hallway and enters a door. Okay, so what's the shots I need? Well, I'm going to do a long shot of an empty hall with a person walking. I'm going to do a medium shot from behind, tracking with the person. So why am I doing that? Well, mysterious person, right? So what does that mean? It means I shouldn't see the person's face, right? I'm setting up to be a mystery. So the long shot might be from the back of the hallway with him walking past us so we don't see their face. Medium shot behind. So now I'm behind them, following them. It could be a mystery. Close up, low angle, feet walking past. Extreme close up, keyboard opening door, key card. So here we were shot at the campus. So we got little key cards to open it up. So all these 1, 2, 3, 4 shots are probably all I need to tell this first scene opening, this entering the hallway, my setup. So next I've got, okay, we realize it's the professor. So I've got a pan walking in front, tracking with the professor, a back of class wide shot, medium to close up, long angle, low angle, feet walking into frame. So here's a low angle shot where they start off wide, and the feet walk up to the frame and get close. Then we got medium shot, neutral, which means I'm not looking either direction, professor speaking. Close up, professor's hands while speaking. There's my insert shot. Close up, board students. Those are my cutaway shots. Medium close up, backpedaling with professor. Here's when he realizes, and notice I put it right next to where the description is. So here, suddenly realizing he forgot the laser pointer and quickly walks to the front of class or back to class. Here, that shot, I'm backpedaling. So that means I'm handheld walking backwards with the professor as he leaves the classroom. So here's a set. This has starting to become my shot list. I'm figuring out what type of shots I want to use for this part of the scene. Now we get to the next scene here. I've got in the other room, he searches and grabs the laser pointer, heads back to class. Not a lot of information here, but look, I've got 1, 2, 3 shots. Medium long shot, professor enters room. POV, professor looking for laser pointer. So point of view, his perspective, right? Wide shot to close up, rack focus from the professor to the laser pointer. So now we have a low angle shot. The laser pointer's on the table. We see him in the distance. I've already wrote, I want to do a rack focus in there. That's all I need for this scene. Not a big deal. Now I come back to the final scene that I'm writing here. Front of class. So professor goes back to the front and continues his lecture. So I've got wide shot front of class, wide shot back of class, medium shot, neutral again, speaking professor, then close up rack focus from his face to the laser pointer, and the pan tracking professor through the students. So what I'm doing here is I try to put these shots in order of where they land with the description. So again, backpedaling with him realizing he forgot he's walking to get a laser pointer. So I do the shot second. It's not about thinking about shots first. A lot of people make the mistake here where they just think about storyboards. They think about the shots and do all that stuff and don't flesh out the story first. And again, this is super, super brief and basic. I'm expecting a little more from you guys than this. So it's going to be more elaborate than this, but that's the minimum. If you want to take it you want to write and shoot a Twilight Zone episode, awesome. Looking forward to it. You've got a little mini horror film you want to shoot, fantastic, do it. You've got a chase scene, you've got a love scene where people break up and they're all unhappy, outstanding. I don't care how elaborate you make it, as long as whatever you do, you're capable of pulling it off. But it can be fairly simple as long as there's something happening, some conflict or something in the middle. So that's what you got to think about. And I know it's vague, but it has to be vague because you guys have to develop it. I can't just say, hey, give me a shot, give me a scene where someone's walking, sitting, eating lunch and wrapping up. That's boring. That's not what we're here for. We're here to make something entertaining. That's what this is. The main gist out of this, whatever you do, it should be entertaining. We're all going to screen it. We're going to watch it all together on Zoom, and people should laugh or have a good time or cry or be scared. Whatever it is you want your audience to do, that's what you want to achieve. And so again, to me, the best way to do it is to make something super precise and compact. So think simple Twilight Zone episode, think simple idea, chase sequence, whatever it is that has something interesting going on with it. Any questions so far? Is this making sense?
So as part of the package that we turn in for the script, you want us to use this AV script, right? Not like a traditional.
No, if you're comfortable making a traditional script, fine, absolutely encourage it.
And you want our shots in the script?
No, I'm sorry, this is going to be slightly confusing for people who know narrative, but if you don't, I'm doing it in this structure for everybody who's first starting out, has no idea what a narrative script is.
I see, okay.
So this is a way for them to do it and get the job done. If you already understand the idea of a narrative script, you've written them and you're comfortable doing that, then totally do it. Then that's the proper way to do it.
So I guess
this is our.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm saying, yeah, exactly. You can type and create a regular narrative script.
Okay.
I just don't do it here because a lot of times I got people who are just new to this, and if I introduce two different types of script writing, it's going to confuse everybody. So this makes it easier for the people starting out, and then the people who are more experienced and already know what they're doing, you can just do the normal script that you're accustomed to doing. Everybody clear on that? And we will talk about the narrative script format, but not right now. We'll get to it later. It's just too much information for everybody. Okay, so this I got to change. This is, well, actually, no, this is our production schedule. Is it working? Yeah, actually, this does kind of work. So we're going to do after this, we're going to basically tell a location. Remember, the scene tells us a location, what order it is. Video tells us what shots are in the scene. Add as many shots as you need to cover the scene. So notice I've got a bunch of shots here with overlapping stuff. Don't just put one shot here and say, okay, well, that's good, man. Unless it's intentional, unless you're going to block it really awesome like Citizen Kane, add shots. Because I think even if you did block it like Citizen Kane, I would tell you to add shots anyway, just to be safe, because you just don't know when you get into the edit. Unless you're already that good. If you're already that good, then I'm not sure what you're doing here. Unless you're just here for the fun of it. So next thing we're talking about is production schedule. So there's going to be a schedule where everything's going to be kind of broken down, and I'm going to show that to you, the actual real version of it. So production schedule is based on how you plan to shoot. Let me go to the real thing first. So this thing, so really you just got to kind of fill this first part out. Not a big deal. And then that's what this development package is about. You still got to do all this stuff, but you're going to hand this in to me just so I can see your thought process and everything. So that's why I'm expecting to have this handed in. So here's a copy of the AV script. So it's a template here. It's a Word template. You could just download it and use it if you want. If you're going to do a narrative script, then I'm assuming you already have software to edit, to write a script, because you don't want to do that in Word because it's a terrible format to work in. I will talk about what types of software to use, but not until probably after this project. So if you got your heart set on writing a narrative script and you don't have the software, then send me an email and I'll talk to you about it. But you can just basically download this, load it up in Word, and here you go. When you run out of, just because it only goes up to 15, you could add as many of these rows as you need. Just copy and paste the rows and add more. And so as many scenes as you want, but I'm hoping most people aren't going to have 15 scenes, right? That's going to be a lot to shoot. Okay, production schedule. So it'll be an Excel sheet. I'll put it up there tonight. So by doing it in Excel or numbers or whatever, number crunching software you have, spreadsheet you have, it's going to be easier to organize it and everything. So what you initially want to do is, once you got your script down, you start breaking it down. I'm going to put the locations down. I'm going to put the scene down. I'm going to actually do it in order. I'm just going to put all the scene numbers, that scene down, write the locations, the shot description. So basically what this is going to be is each one of these. Go back to this action scene here with the script. So after I do the script and I start getting my shot list down, I'm going to go, okay, well, here's scene one. So I'm going to go put scene one here. And then go, okay, what's the shot description? Well, it's a long shot LS of empty hall and person walking. So I'm going to list all these shots. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are all going to be scene 1, 2. Let's say the second shot is behind trucking, right? With person. And then let's say we go down here and say low angle feet walking past. And final last one is a key card opening. That doesn't say key card. So those are the first 4 shots. I put them in here. So I put the numbers down here. So I'm gonna say locations, where does this take place? Oh, this takes place in the hallway. Now if I go back down here and I just type H, well, hallway comes up. Actually, it makes it faster to put the information in. Hallway. And now if I want to, I can add more stuff here. So basically this is my schedule and my breakdown. So now I'm gonna say, okay, what camera gear do I need here? Well, I'm just gonna use my regular camera, maybe I have a dolly, whatever. What characters, and the characters, any props, any notes. This is basically where I'm gonna start organizing my shot list and my breakdown of this. So think of this as a schedule, but also think of it as a way to break down your script, to put all the pieces together. So when I look at this first shot, I know this is scene 1, and this is what's going to take, what's going to happen there. What do I need for that shot? Now let's just say, for sake of argument, I'm going to put a couple 2s in here for scene 2. 2, let's just do 4 for 2. And then let's say I got 3. And then 4. Okay, and let's say scene 2 is interior classroom. And then let's just make this classroom 2. Oh, wait, why you're not doing what I'm asking? Sorry. Classroom. Classroom, and then this scene 3 is back room. And then scene 4 is back into the classroom. Okay, so let's just say, for sake of argument, let's say I filled all this out. I've got all the shots here. I've got all the scene numbers here, the locations here, and I've filled all this stuff out, right? Now, if I want to organize it in the way I want to shoot it, I can move stuff around and make it easy. So the first thing I can do is here, and it works very easy in numbers, but you can also do it in Excel. I'm going to go up here onto this column and go drop down and go, hey, let's organize this by ascending. So when I do that, look, it's going to combine all the classroom shots together. Now we've got 4s and 2s all together. So not that big of a deal on something small, but here it's bigger. So now I can say, well, I'm going to shoot the classroom out first because that's more difficult. So I'm going to take all this stuff and select it, and then I'm going to drag it. And you could do this with any of your programs. I'm going to move it down here, and I just moved that there. It's okay. Okay, so classrooms up first are great. Oh, I actually put too much classroom. So I want to put the original ones back. So I'm going to select that, select, grab my thumb, bring it back up and move it. Okay, so I'm shooting scene 2 first. Now I've got scene 4 next because remember, they're both in the classroom, and I don't want to shoot them out of, go and shoot in one, then go shoot outside and shoot in someone, keep it in shooting in story order. I want to do it in shooting order. So now that I do that, I'm like, well, what's the next thing I want to shoot? Do I want to do the hallway or the back room? I'm like, I'm going to stick with the hallway next. Actually, no, I take it back. I'm going to do the back room first because they're connected. So now I'm going to select all these and move them down. Now I'm going to go back here and say, yep, you know what? These are good. I'm going to move them up here. And then I'm going to close the gap here. Oops. So by just reorganizing everything and dragging and dropping, I'm able to reorganize my shooting schedule, my production schedule into a shooting order, right? I don't have to retype anything. I just drag and move stuff around. It's a lot more efficient. So the way to do this is just like I showed you, go through the script, put it all in this thing, and I can put my camera gear, my characters. And now that I've got them in an order, now I can go, okay, what days am I shooting? Well, let's say I'm going to shoot over 3 days. So first day is going to be, let's make it 10, 10. Okay, great. So I'll do 10, 10 here. And let's say, we could do both of these in the same day. So I'll do all these 10. And then let's say the rest of it's going to happen 10, 11, and so forth. So I can then just kind of fill this all out. And now I'm starting to build up a production schedule. Now I can see exactly what days I'm going to shoot what shots, what order I'm shooting the shots in. And I don't have to think about this. And so this is the key to being successful on set, coming up with a game plan. And so by using some form of a spreadsheet, you can move things around and not have to retype or waste time. I just put all the information in once, and it's basically drag and drop, moving things around. You can do this in Pages if you're on Mac. You could do it on Excel if you're on Microsoft. You can do it in Google Docs if you're on Google Docs. They all kind of work the same way. So however, whatever tool you want to use it, the templates in an Excel format, which is easily works with any spreadsheet program. And you can add as much information as you want. Here I just have the basics. I'm just putting down shot dates, locations, scene numbers, description of the shots. I put any camera gear, if I'm using any special camera gear for anything, characters, just so I know, like today, if I'm like, okay, what are we doing today? This first shot, this is what I need for that shot. Any notes I want to put into myself. And so this is something you'll print out and you're going to take with you on set to shoot. Any questions about it? And so this is how it works in the real world. And if I'll show you guys some examples of real breakdowns. This is not that big of a deal when you're doing a small script, like even the thing I just showed you. But imagine doing a full feature movie. If you don't stay organized and have this all organized, there's no way you're going to get done. There's no way you're going to be able to tackle this system without getting lost. So by practicing at this level on our smaller projects and breaking everything down, it's just good. It gets those skills embedded in you to understand how important it is to structure and break everything down in order to be successful on set. It's not just about, oh, I got a camera and I got an actor and a script, let's go. I need to do it as efficiently as possible. So this order here may be because of time of day. Maybe it's because we have one location for a certain amount of time. Maybe I only have an actor who's available for the first half of the day. So I better shoot all the scenes out with that actor or I'm going to lose him. However I want to organize it, I can figure that out by rearranging stuff here. And each one of these lines represents just a shot. Everybody good? Okay.
Yes, I understand.
So I'll incorporate that into here so it makes more sense. I thought I got it, but it obviously did not. Okay, the last thing that's in here is going to be the storyboard handout. So we are going to talk a lot about storyboards, but this is so we will cover storyboards before this is due. But this is a great little printout. You can print this out and it gives you a great bunch of pointer tips on how to draw storyboards and gives you a template to create your storyboards if you want to draw them out. You don't have to. You can use your camera. You can use software. And again, we don't have time today, but we will talk about this stuff in the next week or two to understand what process you want to go. The only thing I will tell you is that you do have to do storyboards for this assignment. If you don't hand them in, this part of your grade is going to take a hit. So and it's just going to be good for you to get into the understanding. The storyboards are not just about, oh, well, I just want to see my idea on my shots, but it's going to help you pre-visualize what the edit's going to look like. If you're working with other people, it's going to help you communicate to those people what you're trying to do as a director. The worst thing in the world is having a director that can't articulate what they want to do, or they're just like, oh, don't worry, I'll tell you what to do. It's in their head. Well, great, but you're not taking advantage of everybody else who could be more efficient and help you get the job done. So storyboards are a really important aspect of that. And so you can print this out and use it. You can scan it and use it however you want to use it. It's up to you. If you want to just use your phone, you can do that. Again, we'll talk about how to do this stuff, how to do storyboards in detail in probably sometime next week. Any questions so far? Any more thoughts or anything, concerns? Flipping out, happy, finally ready to go, or like, oh my God, I think I got to drop the class now.
I think I'm really excited to start all of this.
I think so. I think this is the fun part, man. This is what we've been building up to right now. So pretty much all the theory and mumbo jumbo that we spent the last month talking about, that's behind us now. From this point on, we still got stuff to learn. We're still going to cover stuff, but everything now we do is geared towards getting these productions. We have 2 productions to do. And we haven't even hit editing. So basically, once we get done with the shooting stage of this, we're going hard into editing. And so then it's basically from sometime the end, midpoint or end of October through December, it's just about editing.